Welcome to the Seller Roundtable e-commerce coaching and business strategies with Andy Arnott and Amy Wees.
The last question I have about Pinterest, and anybody who's listening right now, feel free to throw some questions out there if you have some. But my last question is, again, we asked this for Instagram, but what about Pinterest? What's the best way to drive product sales on Pinterest?
So I'm going to go on the organic side. I'm going to go with picking out shirts that are already, or not sure, products. I'm used to talking to print on demand. Products that are already selling, proven sellers, and making a lot of pins for those, because that can help build your Pinterest account, and then when you're launching new products on an already existing popular Pinterest account, you'll have a much easier road. So if you have, at least have an idea of what some of your best sellers are, I'd work on those, do multiple pins for those, create multiple topic boards that your stuff will fit into. And then they do have advertising on Pinterest. I have not had the best luck with it myself. And I've even sat on some meetings of some bigger name sellers who got themselves interviews with the marketing department at Pinterest, where Pinterest noticed that they had a large account and that they had done some ads. So they reached out to them and said, hey, do you want to meet with us? We'll run your ads. We're the experts since we work for Pinterest. And so their interest was piqued. They got on the call. I got on the call with them, and they pretty much flat out told us that if you were not spending $1,000 or more per day on an ad, it wasn't going to perform well. So the Pinterest advertising that works, I mean, you can spend only a tiny amount, but it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't get enough views. So I think the main difference between the Pinterest and say like Facebook marketing is that it's just what people's expectations are for the site. If people see a Facebook ad or sponsored post and they click on something, it's already in their mind. I'm clicking on something that I might purchase right now if it looks good to me. Whereas on Pinterest, people are kind of thinking of ideas to save for later. So you don't get as many of those immediate sales. It doesn't not mean it's not a good marketing tool, because over time, people will come back and they will buy the products. It's almost it is why we push the Instagram with the product tagging so much, because it's more immediate. It's like when they click on it, they take right to the buy link and they're going to buy it if they want it. On Pinterest, the mindset when you're on Pinterest is, these are ideas for me to save for later. That's just what the whole purpose of the site is. So advertising dollars wise, I'd spend more on Instagram or Facebook, and Pinterest wise, I would build for your long-term organic sales.
Yeah, Deanna, I think you're right. I think when we've, I'm still getting into the platform, but me, Amy, I like to turn all the knobs, and I've been playing with all kinds of different things. I've tried the advertising, and we actually do have an account manager. We don't spend $1,000 a day. We're at 100. I think that's what they're asking for now. I think when they first started the program, it was a little bit less. But we just started working with them, so I don't know if it's gonna work out. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. But I think the best, what seems to be performing the best is when you give some type of tips or instructions. So like when you scroll through Pinterest, like I'm on Pinterest right now, and maybe it's just because of what I look at. But, everything's like, supplies needed to sell on Amazon, the top 4, top 50 Amazon hacks. Like it's a list, like lists and tricks and things like that seem to be really huge. And how you can utilize that or use that is to drive people to a blog post. And then, it's the new way of advertising where you're embedding your ads or your products in that blog post, so like the top 5, for maybe if I was going to, advertise SellerRT, is like the top 5 PPC tricks. And then at some point I mentioned our PPC tool, in that article. So you're giving a ton of value and lots of value, little sell. That's kind of the new way of doing things. And I think if people utilize that technique on, at least on Pinterest, for us, that seems to be working pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the technique of that blog post, that the pin was performing really well. Then what I did was did an offer in the middle of you scrolling through the blog post. I did an offer that of a related product. So that I think was helpful, and I got a lot of traffic from that because it wasn't salesy up front. So that's really great tip. And then also I've noticed with Pinterest, I have had some luck with advertising on the weekend, because a lot of people are on Pinterest on the weekends. So what I'll do is I'll create pins and then I'll run an ad with them over the weekend. And then I'll stop the ad and just leave it organic. And I notice I get a lot more organic spread after running an ad over the weekend. So that's another tip that I'll usually give people when they're launching is first build out those boards, not just products, but other interesting things too. Build out the boards with your stuff, other people's stuff, make it look interesting, something that people are going to want to follow. And then, a few of those, run an ad just over the weekend and, test it out, and then leave it just organically spread from there, because hopefully you'll get some pins and some saves from that ad over the weekend. And so that's just kind of something that has worked for me as far as advertising goes. But you're right, Deanna, it's not like, oh man, I'm just getting like so many sales from this. It's crazy. I got to advertise my products on Pinterest 24/7, It's not the same.
I think there's something kind of inherent, like in the algorithms that's built in that's not really talked about, that if you are willing to spend some money here and there on advertisements, that like your account overall does better. Like, I think it's a combination of the fact that you did bump some, do some bumps of advertising that got you further reach. And also the fact if you're willing to spend some money, they're willing to give you more coverage.
Yeah, one other cool thing about the Pinterest advertising is that we were talking about this, how stuff is a lot more sticky on Pinterest. The cool thing about Pinterest is if you do some advertising and you get those pins don't go away. So if you're trying to boost that that one pin and you run an ad on it, say for a couple days, those pins aren't going to go away. And I've seen that work fairly well too, is to just do a little bit of advertising up front and then kind of get that pin to float up and then kind of stick there.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for live Q&A and bonus content after the recording at SellerRoundtable.com. Sponsored by the ultimate software tool for Amazon sales and growth, SellerSEO.com and AmazingAtHome.com.